Dylan's little hobbies right now.
Hello guys, and welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies. And in today's video, oh boy, do we have a really cool movie to talk about. And this is actually really funny because when I actually saw the trailers for this movie, I'm not gonna lie, the trailers looked alright. Like, it looked like a cool movie. It looked like your average Marvel movie, and I was like, you know what? I'll see it when it comes on Disney Plus. I actually was not going to go to the theater for this, and my cousin is like, "Are you crazy? Of course you're going to the theater for it. You're coming with me." So shout outs to my cousin Nick. He took me to see this movie for my birthday, actually. And I'm not gonna lie, I cried in the theater. This literally ended up being, in my opinion, the greatest movie that Marvel has ever made, which is shocking because, yes, I know, we have Infinity War, we have Endgame, we have, for God's sakes, Iron Man 2! Shut up, Austin!
I'm not saying anything yet.
We have Iron Man 2, and still, this just turned out to be one of my absolute favorite Marvel films, and I think it just comes down to its, me being an animal lover and what this film just turned out to be. But of course, we'll get into that. So basically what we're going to do tonight is we're basically going to just get into the story and then give our thoughts on that, and then we'll get out of here. But I am, of course, not here alone. I am here with my buddy, the Austin there. Austin, go ahead and tell people where they can find you at, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, everybody. I'm kind of my schedule's kind of erratic right now because of work, so I'll just pop on streams whenever I can. Usually I'm on the Hangout on Wednesdays. I'm just on everybody's channel. Just subscribe. I don't know when I'm doing stuff on my channel again. I'm not even gonna give it a release. I'm just gonna be like, screw it. Whenever I feel like it, I'll do it. So.
Well, when you do, I'll definitely be on there for it.
Yeah, man. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Dylan. This is gonna be interesting because I got some thoughts about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as well.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. So, with that said, guys, if you guys want to find me, you can find me on Austin's channel, you can find me on my channel, and don't forget to check out Ninjoy243, aka Star Wars Network, who is supposed to be here. I don't know where he is, but we are just going to dive right into it. Spoiler review. Guys, if you haven't seen this movie yet and you're fans of the Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely don't watch this before watching the movie. But, I mean, at this point, you guys definitely should have watched the movie. It's been out for a little while now. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the beginning of this film and just what the story ended up being. It really kind of started out with Star-Lord, and this is actually where I thought the story was going to be, right? I thought the story of this movie, and the trailers kind of hinted at that. I thought the story was going to be Star-Lord trying to get over Gamora, finding the other universe Gamora, and then trying to get her to like him. That's what I thought this movie was going to be, and I am so happy that that is not what happened. One of the biggest things that I thought they did well in the movie is establishing that this Gamora is not the Gamora that we know, even though, yes, Star-Lord does because of his almost like PTSD of her dying before he does have to kind of realize that. But I do like the fact that she does kind of see what the original Gamora saw in him. But she doesn't immediately turn and fall in love with him because of that, you know? I really like the fact that they really established that Gamora is her own person in this and not the Gamora we know, because it's true, she's not the Gamora that we know. And I'm really happy that the story wasn't just Star-Lord the entire time. No, what the story really ended up being was Rocket Raccoons, which is another thing I really like about it, because Rocket Raccoon is the original boss of the Guardians of the Galaxy. From what I know, at least, I don't really read the comics or anything, but I do know just a little bit of history, and I do know that he is supposed to be the leader, and Star-Lord is the leader in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I like how they told his story as well, and it really just the best way I can really describe this movie is it literally finishes everyone's arc in a perfect fashion. I mean, in here we have Star-Lord, and yeah, he's dealing with the loss of Gamora, but at the same time, his best friend, and I love the joke about Rocket being his second best friend, but his best friend is on the verge of dying, and he doesn't want someone to leave him again after what happened with his mom, after fighting with his dad, and then this whole thing, and with Gamora, he's tired of losing people, and he wants to make sure he doesn't lose his best friend. He wants to save his best friend. I liked his whole story and how it all came together at the end. I also really love the fact that forgive me, what's the girl with the tentacles name again?
Mantis? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Mantis. So I really liked Mantis's whole role, because here's the thing. What kind of character is Mantis? I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, she's so weird, but, then we have the Christmas special, and it was a joke, but it made the whole thing feel like a whole, when a Mantis ended up being his half-sister. I thought that was great. And then we end up in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and I really love the fact that Mantis played her sister role, trying to get him to move on. I felt like that was great, how they actually just brought Mantis into the fray and added so much character to Mantis as well. And her whole arc in the movie is basically her being both a supportive role, but finding her own strength in the film as well. Because everyone thinks Mantis is just a joke, right? But she's not. And speaking of jokes, then we have Drax. I loved him in the first film. Guardians of the Galaxy was great. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, while I love Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and I love Drax in that movie, he's hilarious. The problem with Drax is he's become nothing but a big joke. And I like how in this movie they took that joke and they made something great out of it. What I mean by that is Drax's whole character it felt like a whole circle here, because here Drax literally lost his family. He has nothing to do. He joins Guardians of the Galaxy to save the galaxy, but he's out there for revenge. And I love the fact that his story in this movie just ended up being him basically getting over that. And it's because Drax has been such a big joke in the second movie, no one's taking him seriously, right? And in this movie, no one takes him seriously. So when it came to the kids at the end of the movie, he was able to speak to them, and I love that line. Wait, you did tell me you can understand their language, because they speak a different language. And he says, the robot girl says that. Gamora's sister, I can't remember her name either. Nebula says that to him, and he's like, well, you didn't ask. And it's so well done, because just because we thought he was the big joke at the end, right? But no, and Drax the Destroyer, he was never supposed to be a destroyer. He was a family man. He was a dad, and that's what he needed to be. And his whole character arc just comes together in the end in this film. It's fantastic. And then we have Nebula. Nebula has been through the most throughout all these movies, and in this movie, I mean, she was a great part too. Dealing with the fact that her sister is back. It's not really her sister. She's part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and she wants to act like she doesn't care. She wants to act like the big tough person who doesn't care. But then when they find out that Raccoon, Rocket Raccoon, is actually alive, and she breaks down into tears. just that emotion of her face finally breaking down that she actually cares for these people. That was just fantastic, and how her character arc in this movie basically became an aim of her learning how to care again. That was great. Nebula was fantastic, and of course we have the sister thing with Mantis and their whole dynamic of Mantis trying to tell Nebula that she does care and she needs to act like it, and she not being able to because she's already lost everything as well. You gotta think that she's lost her sister before as well. So I just loved how the whole thing came together, and by the end of this movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, what I could really take away from the entire story now that we have the whole trilogy is the whole story just ended up being about family, and that's just something that kind of speaks to me because I'm really big in my family too. So I just loved the whole family part of the story, and I didn't even get into the absolute best part of the movie yet, which is without a doubt my boy Rocket Raccoon. Right there. Right there. That is some awesome art, by the way. I don't know who did that, but that's fantastic art right there. Rocket Raccoon in this movie was great as well. We learned his backstory, a pretty tragic backstory, but we kind of already knew it. He was a experiment made for a better purpose. He thought that he was going to end up going to this perfect world. Turns out his creator wasn't interested in that at all. He was only a stepping stone for something greater, and that when his friends started being terminated, that's when he goes crazy. He breaks out, he runs, and I don't know how he meets Groot, but he meets Groot, and Groot in this movie kind of playing that father, the fact that Groot and Rocket kind of have this father in some relationship in the other two movies, and with Rocket practically dying, I really liked his whole character arc of him just staying on the ship and wanting to take care of his dad. I thought that was great too. Groot doesn't play too much of a role, but that was great. By the way, that's another thing. When Gamora at the end realizes that she actually does understand what the heck Groot was saying, that was fantastic as well, because throughout the entire movie I enjoyed the joke of that Gamora wondering if they could actually understand them. That was just the whole thing without the movie. That was great. That's another thing too. This movie, I was not expecting this movie to go the way it was, but it was, to me, perfect in every way. 11 out of 10. The music was fantastic. The story, phenomenal. The character development, phenomenal. The characters themselves, the acting, everything was phenomenal. And then the humor. It wasn't too much. It was just the right amount. It was fantastic. Another character that I want to mention before I give the floor to Austin is, I can't remember his name, but the Golden Boy. Help me out, Austin.
Is it Adam Warlock?
Adam Warlock, yes. So, Adam Warlock, okay, does he play that big of a role in the movie? No, he's kind of there for a joke. But something that I really appreciated that they did at the end was Adam Warlock was saved by Groot. And because of that, he was given a second chance. So that gives him the ability to go and save Star-Lord at the end. Just bringing his whole character together, and him becoming a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Just the whole family-oriented storyline of this was great. And as an animal lover, everything they did to Rocket and Rocket's friends, just tore me up. Where I literally cried when Rocket was there, and he saw those baby raccoons. And he decided to save him, and that's the thing, right? So they're there, they're saving all the kids, they're saving all the people. Then they find that Rocket Raccoon has everyone else in these cages, and they go back and they save all the animals and everyone. Just fantastic, absolutely great movie. Loved every minute of it. I am going to give the floor to my buddy Austin. Great movie, great movie. All right, Austin, it's your turn, man.
Yeah, so I mean at this rate we all know what I think of this latest couple phases of the MCU. I have not been enjoying these movies for a while. The last Marvel movie I saw.
I am so sorry, Austin. I meant to click that, and I clicked on you, and I am so sorry, Austin.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so the last movie I saw was Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, which I hated. I did not like that movie whatsoever. In fact, it gets worse every time I see it, or every time I think about it. But so going into this movie, I had the expectation of, okay, this is the last Guardians movie. It's either going to be really good or a massive disappointment. Well, I gotta be honest, this movie was very good. Now, is it the best Marvel movie ever? No. I still think that there was a couple things here and there that were just like, eh. But overall, I gotta admit, this was very, very good. Um, One of the biggest takeaways I will give this movie is this. The biggest problem with these past two phases of the MCU is its humor. The humor has been atrociously bad. I mean, sometimes it's just not needed. A lot of times it's just flat out cringe. And then other times the movie is too damn serious to where it's boring. I at least and I feel like Guardians 3 does a great job at balancing the humor and the seriousness. In fact, the humor was pretty top notch, I gotta say. There were points in the theater where I was chuckling. And just like Dylan said, I have to say, a lot of the character arcs in this movie felt organic. Like it almost felt like that there was a plan here. Whether or not some of it could have been changed due to other movies, but it still felt genuine. Like you have Star-Lord's character arc of him getting over Gamora, and even that tying into him going back to Earth to be with his grandfather. I'm like, damn, that felt it almost feels like a character growth because and it makes sense because after Infinity War and Endgame, of course the guys will be hung up on Gamora. But throughout the movie he learns like, man, like she's not the same and she'll never be the same. And even Gamora, like I appreciate them not doing the whole, oh, Peter and Gamora get back together thing at the end cuz honestly that wouldn't even make any sense. I mean, let's face it, I think we can all agree here this Gamora is not the same Gamora as in the previous two Guardians films. And there's just too much baggage there to where it wouldn't make sense. That's just me, man. I mean, Drax, I mean, yeah, the whole coming full circle thing with him, helping raise those kids. I mean, again, I agree. Drax, was the comedic relief, but he still had moments in the movie that made him feel like a genuine character. Again, that is the other big takeaway, the characters. I think as I keep thinking about this movie, I genuinely like this movie more and more. I'll give it that. It actually it holds up better than a lot of these past MCU films. I'll say that. Groot. I mean, Groot was there, but it was cool hearing Vin Diesel play grown Groot again. Rocket, and I gotta. Rocket is probably the biggest highlight of the film. Seeing Rocket's backstory, seeing Lila, like I really know of Lila due to the Telltale game, but man, like that is such like you really just it adds so much more layers to his character. I mean, Rocket genuinely is one of those characters that, again, when Guardians of the Galaxy first came out, Rocket didn't really work. Or at first, you would think he wouldn't work because like people that was like, "Oh, who's Guardians of the Galaxy? Oh, raccoon in a tree. That's kind of stupid." But you see this, and it's like again, genuine character arc. You see character growth, and just the little like jokes. Like you see them act like a family, and that genuinely is what's kind of missing from these films. Is just the sense of fun, enjoyment, and just having a team act like a family. Like, it's really not that hard in terms of writing a film like this. It just isn't. And I will say the High Evolutionary, out of all these latest phase villains, he's probably one of the stronger ones. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna count Green Goblin, Doc Ock, or whoever in No Way Home. Because let's be honest, they're really not MCU villains. And I don't know if I could really count Kang because he's not, yeah, he's a villain, but he's supposed to be the big main bad. But for a like standalone film, I think the High Evolutionary came off very threatening. Like his main arc throughout the movie is him wanting to, almost like rebuild the world in his own image type of thing, but he needs the he needs Rocket for it. And it's like you have like that whole thing, and then having that little like twist where you see his face like peeled off, and like you see how like what because when Lila and the other two died, seeing like his face all screwed up because after that like anger, like almost in grief type of deal, I was like, damn, that was gruesome. Because I thought they were gonna do a twist where it's revealed that he's actually a robot. No, he was screwed up. I was like, damn. The actor is great too. I think the High Evolutionary very strong. Um, yeah. Again, I agree. I think fuck Mantis. Yeah, she was very good in this film too. Because again, like Drax, she was kind of there to be more comedic relief. But here again, she goes through character growth and seeing her stand up for herself. Like every character has something going on in this movie, and that's what I appreciate. Is that, it's not about one character, it's about everybody. It's about wrapping up everybody's stories. The action was fun. I mean, again, you kind of expect it at this point. And just in general, it's just a very fun film. But here is a few, like, before I get into my positives, I do want to get into my negatives first. First of all, I'm not a big fan of Adam Warlock in this movie. Um, I didn't feel like he really needed to be here. In fact, he was just here. And actually, this is the only thing I actually don't like is I didn't think Adam Warlock was really needed. And I think that's kind of the issue is out of everybody, I feel like he was probably the most pointless. Like he doesn't like I guess he goes through an arc, but he's not really taken seriously. He's not the most well, what's the word for it? He's just there, and that's fine, but it's like you could have literally had any other character be in this movie, and they probably would have just served the same purpose. I mean, he was only there to take out Rocket for Rocket's story to be told, and that's really only what he was there for. Um, I mean, honestly, other than that, I mean, I didn't really like his mom either, because like again, they were just there. But other than that, I mean, that whole sequence where they're on the space, like they're in the spaceship or whatever, and like they have to pull off this heist to save Rocket. I'm like, damn, that was actually pretty fun. And the emotional moments, like we talked about earlier, I thought those were handled really well, especially with the whole Rocket, almost dying and him seeing his friends in the afterlife. I thought that like this movie does bring did make me tear up a little bit. I gotta be honest. Like it's a very like it feels like a love letter from James Gunn to the Guardians films. Like this genuinely, Kavari says it best. It's definitely a breath of fresh air. Now, does it save the rest of these next two phases? No, because
Definitely not.
I'm sorry, but one good movie, like I'm sorry, but really one really good movie doesn't save a bunch of mediocre and just bad movies. But with all that said, and again, I'm not gonna go into really much about Nebula because you brought it up, Dylan. But yeah, her kind of like it's just really in general, and I think this is just the gist of it. And I don't want to keep drawing. I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but it's like these characters just feel genuine, likable. They have their own arcs. They have like it. This movie has so many different messages, but it's something that blends together really well, and I'm surprised. This is the first time I've actually gone to a Marvel movie and went, wow, this was really enjoyable. Now, granted, I like, movies like Spider-Man No Way Home and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, but honestly, besides those movies, like this movie, I genuinely went into it going, because let's be honest, Spider-Man No Way Home was more of like, it's more of a one of those movies where it's not that the story was bad. It was a very good movie, but it was more reliant on the like cameos, I guess you could say, and just more the surprises. Whereas this movie I felt like was just an organic story. And so, yeah, I gotta be honest. I'd say this is this is my second favorite out of this new saga, this multiverse saga. And on like it's No Way Home still number one, even though I did talk about how it's more cameo, but I'm more of a Spider-Man fan. But this movie was a genuine fun film, and also the music too. I forgot to mention the music is great as always. But yeah, I really have nothing else to say because I feel like Dylan, you kind of basically said everything I was gonna say. So
Yeah, I took away your thunder, didn't I? There. No, definitely this movie. This movie ended up just being great all around.
yeah,
Another really good scene that just came up to me was I can't remember his name, but the dude with the thing in his head now
yes,
learning the whistle, trying to be like Hyundai. That was fantastic, and then that scene when he really needs it, he sees Handu right there, kind of as a ghost figure. That surprised me. I wasn't expecting that, and that was great. Also, the dog thing. I was it necessary? No, but I enjoyed that little story thing of the dog being like how dare you call me a bad dog, and then at the end it turns out she's a very good dog because she uses her powers to
yeah,
fight the bad. I just liked it. I liked the whole movie. There really wasn't a aspect of the film that I didn't like. Like when I'm trying to think about an aspect that I honestly didn't like. Did I honestly have any gripe with this movie? And I think the only one that I can come up with was the fact that the wizard guy was definitely not necessary in the film. Like I liked him, but I agree that with you on that, Austin. He could have played a much better role in the film.
yeah, because like because it's like because I know Ninjoy talked about this. He's like, yeah, Adam Warlock just is there, and I'm like, and I watched him and went, yeah, he's just kind of there. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like you could have. It's almost like I'll use this example. It's like Amazing Spider-Man 2. You could have like at the end with Rhino. You could have replaced Rhino with anybody, and it would have basically meant the same thing. And that's kind of what Adam Warlock was. You could have put in Silver Surfer in that role, and it still would have been the same. Like there was
Very true.
there was just no reason for it. Like I it's not that he was bad. It's just there was like you would think that he was going to play a major role, especially with the way he was featured in the trailers, but he did nothing.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's what I'm saying though. Like the trailers weren't bad,
No.
but the trailers were not what this movie said. Like the trailers made it look like the whole story was going to be about going to find Gamora. Those trailers said practically nothing about my boy Rocket, and I actually like the fact that they did that. But at the same
Yeah,
time, yeah, you watch those trailers, and those trailers, I'm sorry, they didn't look bad, but they didn't make the movie look interesting to me. Then you see the movie. Oh my god, I am so glad that my cousin decided to drag my butt to the theater. Because again, I wasn't gonna see this movie in the theater. I'm like, the trailer looks cool, but it's like a normal Marvel movie. I'll see it when it comes out on streaming. I don't really care at this point. No, this movie ended up being a lot better than I thought it was going to. Because, like you, Austin, I have not been very impressed with the MCU after Endgame. I mean, there are maybe one or two really good movies and one or two really good projects out there. Like I really like Moon Knight, for example. I know you're not really big on Moon Knight.
Well, I
But
never said I hated Moon Knight. I
no,
just
you
said,
didn't hate Moon Knight. You're just not big on it. But yeah, I really did end up enjoying this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's just crazy how well written this movie was, and I mean, I guess I should just say congrats to both the director of this movie and Chris Pratt, because one, now after seeing how fantastic this movie is and knowing that he's going to be in charge of all of the DCEU pretty much, he definitely showcased that he knows what he's doing with superheroes. He knows how to really hunker down a story that could be emotional and captivating is the word I'm going to use, and I cannot wait to see what he has in store for the DCEU now. Because of what he's been able to do with this movie. James Gunn was fantastic. And then Chris Pratt, not only did we get Mario movie, which, yeah, Mario movie was a good movie. Mario movie we've already talked about. It definitely did everything that movie needed to do. But Chris Pratt was fantastic in that movie. I think this ended up being his best role of the year, though. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was fantastic. He really played his part really well in the movie.
yeah, man. I mean, Chris Pratt must be really raking in the dough this year. I mean, damn, he's got a $1 billion movie in Mario. He's got about an $800 million movie right now with Guardians 3. Like, shit. I mean, this movie
Congrats to Chris Pratt.
Well, actually, I don't know if this movie's gonna make $1 billion because there's gonna be 3 big movies coming out this month. I mean, we got Spider-Verse coming out. Well, it's already out now, but we got Transformers coming out next week, and then you have The Flash coming out the week after that, and then I believe soon after that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, I mean, this movie's been out a while, so I think this is probably as much as it's gonna make, which...
Yeah, and it's kind of a darn shame that this isn't gonna hit the $1 billion club, because the thing is, this movie ended up being a lot better than some of the Marvel movies that have hit the $1 billion club.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. But I mean, it's true, there are a lot of other good films coming out.
But that being said, I mean, I think I saw a post on Facebook that said it best. I mean, I'm glad to see that this movie's making money because, it's sometimes, even if, let's say, my relationship with the MCU is kind of mixed, I'm glad to see it at least something doing well, and I'm glad to see that something works. And that I wish that somehow they'll look at this and say, okay, we're going to implement it to these other films. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No. But...
Plus, James Gunn isn't doing Marvel anymore, so... No. This was his goodbye letter, so...
Is this going to be the last good Marvel movie for a while? I don't know.
Possible.
And that could be possible, because I'm not going to count movies like Across the Spider-Verse, because it's like, that's not an MCU film, that's more of a Sony project.
Yep, which I'm looking forward to that as well. That movie looks incredibly good.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the first one.
Oh, I loved Into the Spider-Verse. Honestly, this one is probably one of my most hyped things for this year was Across the Spider-Verse. But coming back to Guardians, though, I mean... It's really not like, and I say this all the time, it's not that hard to make a good movie. It's really not. I mean, no. And don't get me wrong, not everybody's going to like it, and that's fine. We all have our own different tastes, but it's like, in general, all you need is a good story, good action, fun characters.
Good characters.
Like, it's something that the MCU has lost in the last couple of years. And I'm Dylan, can you, and I think you might agree with me on this, but this is something I'm going to keep saying and praising. This movie balances out the serious stuff and the humor very well.
It really does. It really does. And like, okay, so I'm going to say this, and it sounds like a bad thing, and it really doesn't. But when I was watching the film, I felt like this was a really long movie. Like, I'm sorry, this movie, I know it's only 2.5 hours, it feels like a 4 or 5 hour film. And I'm telling you what, that's not the bad part about it. Like, I was
No.
so captivated with every single second of the film. I mean, you have Infinity War, you have Endgame, and granted, those movies are great. But there were a couple scenes of Endgame where I'm like, okay, let's move on. There were a couple scenes in Infinity War where I'm like, oh, this is great, this is fun. Can we move on? No, every single second, even though it felt like a really long movie, every single second I was captivated. In fact, that's one of the best things I think about the movie was actually how long it felt, which is really weird because usually a long movie, if it feels too long, if it feels too slow, that could actually be more of a hindrance to the film. But it actually being a really good positive in the film. It really let the emotion of the scene set in, and the way they balance that with the humor is just so well done in this film.
Yeah. That like because and I'm gonna keep saying this. The humor in phases 4 and 5 have been atrociously bad.
They really
And,
have.
like a lot of times it takes away from the movie, like Thor: Love and Thunder, which
Oh
again,
god, that movie was nothing but a bad joke.
like, and it's a shame because the story was there. It's just the humor ruins it. And now at first I was positive on the movie. I'm like, well, it's not that bad. No, I've actually grown to not like it because it's like,
I've always hated that film, Thor: Love and Vomit.
well, my thought process on it is if I'm gonna complain about it in another movie, I have to hold the same movie accountable type of deal. Like, because if I'm gonna complain about one
That's
thing, I can't
understandable.
complain about another type of thing. And even like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness had cringe comedy too. And there are just times where it just doesn't fit, and then there's times where there's no comedy at all and it's boring. Like
I
Eternals,
agree.
that was boring.
Eternals was so bad.
Like I'm glad that somehow finally somebody finally has found the balance between humor and serious stuff because like I most movies and some movies shouldn't have humor in it. Like for example, this Oppenheimer movie coming out. That shouldn't even have humor in it because that's a legitimate like piece of that's like talking about like history type of thing. Like movies shouldn't have humor in it whatsoever. And I agree with that. Some of them don't. And some movies shouldn't be complete comedies either. Like some movies, can because that's what they're meant to be, comedies, but like superhero films, it's very hard to get that balance because if it's
Yeah.
too funny, then you kind of lose, then it's more like a parody. But if it's
And I mean that's the thing, right? If I now it's so funny that I'm gonna bring this up, considering what shirt I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Lucasfilm shirt. If I compare it to Star Wars: A New Hope, and just go with me on this one, Austin, because I know you're probably rolling your eyes at this already, but Star Wars: A New Hope, the first Star Wars movie, something that Star Wars did fantastic. I feel like it is they gave you the humor that the film needed, but the humor didn't take away from the scene of the movie. And I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy is another fantastic example of that. When you do
yeah,
humor in a film, it should never be forced humor. It should
no.
always feel like it's a part of the story, and that's what I feel like this movie did a great job with.
Yeah, and I'll never complain about that. Like there was a lot of points in this movie where I genuinely like laughed. Like I think like that scene where Quill's trying to talk to Gamora and everybody's like, "Wait, what are you doing?" And then he's like, oh, wait, were you guys listening in?" It's like, "But I clicked the this color button." "Oh, well, no, that's not the right color. You actually chose the everybody listens in button. The actual
Yeah,
button's the opposite color." It's like it's so stupid, but it's really
but it
funny.
works, right? And
Yeah.
then the Nebula joke, the Nebula trying to get in a car joke.
Yeah, that was really funny. And that I think that was the first MCU F-bomb, I think.
And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because Nebula, she's not from Earth. She's an alien, so she wouldn't know how that type of car would work. or how you would get into that. And just thinking about that for a second, a lot of people today probably wouldn't know how to get into that type of car, because honestly, that type of technology with the locks, I mean, that stuff like my grandfather has, of course, but like I don't even. I haven't seen a car like that unless I go to like my grandfather's place with that type of lock technology on it. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And even like the small, like subtle humor stuff, like the where Drax is like gonna laying on the couch and then Peter's like, "Get up," and then he's like, "Okay," and he lays back down again. It's like it's so like again, the humor is
It's
so
so in
dumb.
character though, right?
Yeah, but it works. It feels like some of the humor is just really dumb, but honestly, it fits. Like it doesn't
It
feel,
fits
but
the
it's
characters.
like it's not forced dumb humor. It's dumb humor done right.
Yes, that is the way to say it. Yes, I agree. Awesome.
But like, but you have those emotional moments too that really balance it out. Like, and just having all these messages in the film, genuinely, it makes it a really, really good watch. And I would recommend if you
It
haven't seen
really
this in the
does.
theater, go see it in theater. Like, I don't care if you don't see any of these other movies in theater. Go see this one. This one's actually pretty good.
This one's
Like,
worth it.
yeah.
This
Now,
one's worth the $30 tickets or whatever they are. You know, prices are insane
well,
today. But this is worth
well,
it.
I think
It's
tickets
so
is
family
very,
oriented too.
yeah. But I think tickets vary where you go because I
Yeah,
think if you
it does
go,
vary where you go. I
if you
mean, Harkins, the theater I use is Harkins, and they have tickets between like I want to say 12, $13 to maybe $23, depending on what kind of theater seat you get. So
yeah, the theater that I go up to when I go back up to school, like just me to go, for me to get a popcorn and a drink plus the movie ticket, I think it cost me around like 20-ish bucks, which actually is not
for me,
bad.
it's around $30 with just for me. I think it's around $30 with the ticket and the candy and drink. So, but I only drink water too, so
Now, if I
it's
went
free.
up to a Regal cinema, if Regal is expensive,
Yeah.
like
Harkins is kind of mid tier, you know, but Harkins has
yeah,
some really nice seats.
like
I don't know if you've ever been to a Harkins theater or not, but they have some
no,
really comfortable seats.
I've never been to Harkins. I actually never knew what a Harkins was, to be honest. But
I think it's more of an Arizona brand. I mean, I'm sure they have other places, but in Arizona, we definitely have like 3 Harkins here. So
well, let me look. Harkins. Yeah, it's not coming up. Oh, well, I guess it is. Oh wait, no, I guess I do have. I guess there is ones up near me. I guess. I
oh,
actually
is
don't.
it?
I don't know in particular. But I guess there is. All right.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's about mid tier in terms of price. Like it's pricey, but it's not. It's honestly not that bad.
no, like if you went to see like IMAX or like Regal, they're expensive. Like we're talking
Yeah,
like that $30 that we just in double it.
yeah, just double it.
Because just for if I was just to go, it probably for just me it'd probably be like around over 30, maybe $40. Because that's taking into account the movie, the popcorn, and the drink.
Yeah,
And you know, it's like it's whatever, but it's like I go like my theater is called Southside where I go up to campus. It's like half that. And
yeah,
that's why I prefer going to the smaller ones rather than going to the bigger like movie theater chains, because it's like you're getting the same experience, but you know you're paying half the price.
yep, yeah. Well, with all of that said, guys, I do not know where Nindroid ran off to. He literally was supposed to give his take on the movie. He literally dropped in, dropped out, and we never heard from him again. I was hoping that he was gonna pop up here at the end of this and give his side of it. Um, um, give me a second.
But I will say my final grade though is around an A minus. Like I think it's that good to where like my initial grade right now is an A minus, and I think it could go up to the A, but I have to really think about it because I still think it's at least gonna stay in the A minus territory. It can move up, but I don't know yet because I'm also judging it based off of the other MCU films that have come out before it. I don't think it's better than Infinity War because, again, let's be honest, you really couldn't top the hype that was Infinity War.
Yeah, no, Infinity War definitely was just like I give Infinity War a 11 out of 10, just like I do with this movie. Infinity War and Endgame, but Infinity War was a combination of 10 plus years of storytelling all together, coming to a conclusion, which was great. But man, I just love the way this film literally came together as a full story when you watch the quote-unquote trilogy of Guardians of the Galaxy. Or,
Yeah.
I guess, quadruple, since really you should throw Infinity War and Endgame into that mix as well. Just like with all these films.
And
right?
and I will say out of all three Guardians movies, it's a toss-up between the third one and the first one for me. Because the thing is with Guardians of the Galaxy 1, I think with that film, it's kind of difficult because, again, when you first see the Guardians of the Galaxy when they were first introduced, nobody knew who they were, and everybody was like,
Yep.
"Oh, this looks stupid. Why would we go see it?" And then now they're like this. They're huge. Like we're
They're
talking massive.
one of the greatest, right? You know what? That's what Marvel has done really well. I mean, like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Who heard of Iron Man? Everyone knew what Iron Man was, but Iron Man was not a popular character until Robert Downey Jr. Grabbed the role. Made him literally a household name now. But same thing with a lot of these characters. Like, I'm sorry, Captain America? I never heard of Captain America before Captain America movie, and he was great. I knew Thor. But that's something Marvel has done really well. Another thing that I want to actually just mention that Marvel has done really well that, again, I just feel like Disney is starting to lack. Marvel is starting to lack, right? Is the ability to tell multiple stories in a movie, give multiple characters a actual arc that is mean and well put together and well done. Because the thing about the first Avengers, for example, which is really great, is literally here's a movie taking three of the biggest names possible at the time: Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. Taking those three stories, adding three new characters to it: Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, and giving everyone a role that fits within the film, as well as character development and character growth. That was fantastic, and that's what makes the first Avengers movie amazing. And then Endgame and Infinity War just topped that, giving thousands of characters that, right? But this movie did so well just with its six main roles: Gamora, Starlord, our boy Rocket Raccoon, Mantis, and Drax. Just these characters, giving every single one of these characters a role that's really felt like it fits, and character growth, and it's just so well done. That's really not easy to do, but here's the thing: they come out with movies that have maybe one or two characters, and the movie sucks. Like, it's just a clear sign of the best versus the worst of the worst. I feel like, and I feel like this movie really is the best of the best, and I like the fact that Disney, Marvel, whichever one you want to call it, was able to accomplish that with this film, and I hope this isn't lost over time. But with the big bad James Gunn leaving Marvel, I have to admit, I'm not gonna say that with him gone, this is the last good Marvel movie. But yeah, only time will tell if they're ever going to be able to actually pull something like this off again. With that said, I'm
Well,
sorry, there's never gonna be anything like Infinity War ever again.
no,
You know?
and that's why I can't necessarily put this above it because it's like, because I agree with you. Like, let's look at the hype between Infinity War and this. Like, the hype was real for Infinity War. Like you
Yeah, the
said, you
hype
had,
was nuts.
oh my God, and plus it satisfied everybody. And now I agree, Guardians 3, when it comes to like first coming out, the hype was there, but not so much. You know what I mean? Like it was just more like, it was good. It was very good, but it was strong.
Yep.
And David Q, I totally understand and agree with you because after that whole She-Hulk debacle, yeah, no, I'm never like honestly because of She-Hulk and all these other MCU shows, I'm never watching an MCU show ever again. Like I'm legitimately like I was so upset and pissed about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
That
Same with me.
I never thought I
She-Hulk was terrible.
it was like it's offensively bad. Like I'm like it's not so bad where it's funny or so bad because it's boring. No, it was offensively bad. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't care about Secret Invasion. I don't care about Loki season 2. I don't care about What If. I'm sorry to Moon Knight, but after She-Hulk and all these other shows, I'm not seeing that either. I'm sorry. It's just I can't. Danny says this best, but it's like, why would I continue wasting my time watching stuff that I just and know I'm not gonna like? It's just it's
Hey,
way
Deshaun.
too it's too stressful for no reason. It's There's no reason for me to talk about it's very difficult when it comes to like movies because sometimes I'll go and see it even if like maybe that wasn't my intention to begin with. But with the shows, I feel like I actually have more of a choice because it's like they're literally on a streaming service and it's like I can't bring myself anymore to really sit there for something that I know is not going to pay off in the long term.
Agreed. With that said, guys, we've gone almost an hour here. Guardians of the Galaxy, fantastic movie. Again, I give it 10 out of 10. This is hands down, this is actually my favorite film of the MCU, which is incredible because, I love Infinity War, I love Iron Man. Iron Man 2 is one of my favorite films. But this film it just had everything for me, I guess. It's definitely one of my favorite Marvel films, at least. I'm sticking it with my number one favorite Marvel film for now. We'll see in a little while if that changes or not. I'll have to watch it again at some point. But with that said, the Austin, go ahead and tell people where they can find you at, man.
Hey everybody, so my schedule is kind of erratic right now because of work and I'm home for the summer, so it's like I don't know how frequently I'm going to be on streams, but I am going to try my hardest to show up. Um, yeah, so you guys can just find me everywhere. I think Wednesday, Zach is doing a stream. I think he's ranking all the X-Men movies. I'm going to be there along with a couple other people, so check me out
Oh, that'd
there.
be interesting.
Yeah. I'm on Guy Scar's channel, The Basketball Scenario, usually on Wednesdays for the hangout. I'm just everywhere at this point. I'll show up when I can. So guys, just subscribe to everybody, man. Dylan, thanks for having me on, man. This was fun.
Yep. Now, over on my end of things, I have two channels. I have Anime Talk, where I literally grab a couple of friends and we sit down and we talk anime. I actually want to do a couple more live streams on that channel. Hopefully, I will be able to get those out sometime in June, but we'll see. When it comes to Dylan's little hobbies, yeah, this channel has basically been coming back ever since the beginning of May. I've been whipping videos out like crazy, and then I went on a 2-week vacation. And now I'm back. I went on a 2-week vacation for my birthday, and now I'm back, and I am once again producing videos like crazy. I got a couple of crazy cool videos coming out. Hopefully, I can start getting some of these videos out by mid-June. So it will be a couple weeks before my schedule kind of like returns to normal again. But until then, yeah, this was absolutely a great movie, and I'm over on Austin's channel, I'm over on Star Wars Network's channel, and I'm over on Zach Oziola's channel, and you can find me on Tim's channel, actually. Yeah, I'm just about everywhere. Tim Talks. Go check out Tim Talks. Go check out Zach Galazziola. Go check out Austin. Just go check out the entire crew, because you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm on there too. Thank you guys for watching this stream. And with that said, we are out. Bye.
Later.
Hello guys and welcome back.